So in my practice today, I'm working on fixing my inside takeaway. So I'm putting a T in the top of my 9-iron here because I'm just going to take you through the drills that I do when I'm hitting balls. As you know, I've been working on this in my takeaway for quite a while now. Well, I say quite a while, over the winter, because I just noticed in my swing that it was one of those tendencies that if I don't stay on top of it, if it creeps in when I'm in flow, when I'm playing, then it just sets me off on a bit of a wonky swing from the get-go, because the issue that I had is that I was getting rolly with my wrists. So my wrists and hands were moving away from my body in my takeaway. So in this case, and I'm going to like really exaggerate it, the T would be facing the target, let's say. I'd start to roll it away rather than have the T stay facing my hips, my body. So I really started to work on that. I was doing my dry drills, I was then going to the range, and I felt like that initial part of my takeaway, that first little bit here, got a lot better. But I noticed when I would watch my swing back, because whenever I'm working on stuff in my swing, I always put it on slow-mo video so I can watch it back, see if I'm actually making the moves that I want to be making. Most of the time I'm not, but you know, work in progress. We're getting there. But I did notice with my takeaway, this bit was going so much better, but then something would happen where my wrists, like a magnet, would flick me on the inside, roll me round on the inside, and it would typically happen at the point where I'm already in motion. So I'd really have that smooth takeaway going on, but then as I'm then in flow, something here would happen where I'd send the club a little bit behind me and get a little bit flat. So in my practice today, the purpose is takeaway. I'm just going to really groove the move that I want to be working on, both that smooth takeaway, but then also feeling more like the club is going up. For me, the exaggerated feeling is that it's going up a little bit steeper because I can get a little bit too flat, a little bit stuck behind me, and then that sends me over the top in my downswing. So my focus is to really feel the exaggerated feelings that I want to get grooving into my takeaway. So my plan, I'm going to start with some staggered swings, getting into the right positions and sort of swinging in stages. So this bit I find a little bit challenging, but it gets the brain and body going because I'm just going to get to the positions that I want to be, then the next position, then the next, and sort of pause throughout the swing and then hit the ball. I'm going to do a few reps of those, quite a few reps of those, to really get the moves in. And then when I feel ready, when I feel like I'm aware of those moves that I've been working on, I'm going to take it to really slow-mo swing. So again, feeling like it's just a smoother sequence of those same like staggered feelings, but as one move rather than doing them in stages. Super slow-mo. So again, I can really try and build that awareness of the positions that I want to be in and override, hopefully, my default tendencies a little bit, or at least make progress towards that. And then I'll finish up with just some smooth swings. So normal speed, but feeling a really good tempo, really smooth, and possibly, because I like to add in a little bit of performance pressure, finish up with maybe trying to hit 5 that I feel really happy with, 5 smooth swings where I feel happy that I've hit the moves that I've been working on, particularly in my takeaway. One caveat that I need to throw out there is, as you might have also seen in my videos, I've been creeping a little bit over the top again, which I think I'm still going to be in this swing, but I'm going to work on that in another practice session. That's the second part of my swing that I'm really trying to work on at the moment, is that drop from the top. And I'm just not that good at it yet. So I'll be doing a different practice session where I dedicate that session just to that feeling, because I really find that by going deep on one thing rather than trying to do all the things is how I can personally feel like I make more progress with these swing changes than if I try and cover too many things in one go. So let's see how we get on. We're going to start with those staggered swings and just go slow. So my feelings, making sure my T's in, that I'm trying to focus on. And I'm just going to start with some really small swings. So like small stance, down the shaft a little bit, just feel kind of that softness. And my focus here, as much as it's so tempting to like want to hit a brilliant shot, is more about the feeling and more about the process that I'm going through to execute the swing than the outcome of the swing. I'm sure that there's going to be some wonky ones in here. And they also might not go that far because I'm doing small swings. It's more about hitting the feelings, grooving the moves, than absolutely ripping it or kind of feeling like I'm giving it a full swing like I would do if I was playing. That's the focus, is really trying to get to these positions, feeling that smooth slide away. So at this point, the tee is still facing my body. It's not rolled away from me. And then from that position, so I'm going to stop about here and then really feel like I lift, because I know that my tendency is just to get to here and then seem to go really flat. So I'm going to just exaggerate the opposite. I should also say, and then I will hit some balls, take this with a massive pinch of salt. I'm not a golf pro. I'm just a real keen bean who can hopefully look at my swing from the knowledge that I've got from my coach, Jason. I know roughly what I need to be working on when I'm on my own, and I can really just focus on executing those moves. And I know that when I see my swing back, I typically know what I'm doing wrong. But this might not mean that this is what you're wrestling with, or it might not be the same feelings that you're trying to groove. And so just to put that in there, that's my little caveat. Just a golf nerd, not a golf pro. I'm just going to focus on feeling into the stages. Oh, that was a bit thin. Another thinny. Okay, that's interesting. So quite a little bit near the heel, which is my old over the top, but we'll work on that in another video, another practice session. This is where I have to be patient. I'm not very good at being patient. Nice and slow. Get those feelings. A little bit better. And I'll just stagger this. This is why I love coming to practice in a simulator, not only because of the data, but because when I'm doing small swings like this, it just feels like such a waste of range balls. You know, when you've paid however much to have your big bucket of range balls there, and if all I'm doing is sort of more focusing on the feelings in the move. This is why I love dry drills, but I think there is a bit of a leap to be made between dry drills at home and then actually making those moves when there's a ball there. I feel like something different happens when we've got a ball in front of us, or I know it happens with me anyway. I can sort of slip back to just thinking, right, hit it. So this is why, again, I'm here in Golf Manor Farnham. Brilliant, brilliant place, by the way, because it's raining outside and I've got my spring clothes on. Oh, sort of accidentally did a smooth one there rather than a staggered, slipped into it. Okay, maybe I'll build up to that now actually, because I feel like I've worked quite a bit on the staggered, the feelings. Now it's that next stage. So I'm just going to do real slow-mo, still small swings, because I'm just about trying to get that feeling. And I'm just going to do slow-mo swings. Wasn't so slow-mo on the downswing. It's like, do you ever just feel you get to the top and you're like, go for it? Rather than being patient, letting it just drop. But again, we'll work on that in another practice session. Right, slow-mo, be patient, Ratcliffe. Oh, that was funny. Thinny slash heely. Oh, is that out to in? Maybe that is what I need to really jump to work on next, but we're sticking with it, sticking with the process, getting this takeaway down as a solid foundation, and then knowing that we can work on the next move from there. Because that's the thing, I noticed that with the rolly wrists, if I didn't fix them or work on them and get myself in a better position on the takeaway and the top of the backswing, it's really hard to get that drop. So it's almost trying to do something when something else that you've done earlier has sort of set you up on a bit of a wonky sequence. So that's why I'm really trying to take my time working on that takeaway. So hopefully it's a tendency that leaves me alone a little bit over the coming golf season, because I've worked on it now. So fingers crossed. See what we can do here. I'm just going to try and be a little bit slower from the top. I feel good with the pace of the takeaway. I'm hoping that it's hitting the positions that I want. I'm sure, like magnets, my wrists are still trying to roll, but at least I'm sort of building that conscious awareness of the feelings that I want, rather than just slipping back to the habits that I'm trying to work on. I was about to say that felt nice, but I've pushed it out to the right. A little bit out to the right again, so I've just got to square that face up. Lost my tee. So still a little bit out to the right, nowhere near as pushy. I mean, I know that this might not replicate it exactly, but when I played worst ball, all my misses were out to the right, as you probably saw, especially I think it was a little punchy 7 that I hit into that that green, both of them missed quite a bit to the right. I feel like this is less to the right. So we're moving forward. These are only little 9-iron swings though, so can't sort of compare them too directly, but it feels like progress. And I think that's one of the keys is with my practice, I feel like I can really get into the trap of just wanting it a little bit too quickly, wanting to sort of have it click and not really acknowledging the progress, even if it's little steps, like little moves forward. Like in this session, for example, I can already feel from the work that I've done, the dry drills and also these staggered drills on the range, it's just really starting to feel like that takeaway feel is a little bit more natural now, a little bit more of what could become my default. I'm sure I still have to consciously think about it, or at least do a bit of a rehearsal maybe in my pre-shot routine to really make sure that I can take this work from practice to my play on the course. But at least it feels like there's progress. And that's what I'm trying to hold on to and celebrate more of, is the little steps forward that will ultimately, hopefully, add up to those big leaps anyway. But rather than kick myself because I'm still a little bit out to win here, or I'm not necessarily hitting the shots that I want to be hitting in terms of the shot shape, it's actually acknowledging that my focus today, my purpose, was my takeaway. And with that part, I feel like I'm making progress. The other elements, that's just on the to-do list, isn't it? So we'll get to those in future practice sessions. But for now, this is all about the takeaway and really just trying to groove that move. Actually thins one. Okay, so now that I've worked on the staggered swings, getting those moves grooved by setting each position and really feeling each move, then I've worked up to the slow-mo swings. Now I'm just going to go for some normal swings, like really smooth, normal swings, but just to try and build on that feeling and try and take it to more of a fuller swing. So obviously I've been doing smaller swings here where you might not be able to see, but my stance has just been a little bit smaller than a full swing and down the shaft a bit. Again, just focusing on more of those drill moves and the actual full swings. But now that I've done those reps for a little bit, feel like I've got a good grasp on that feeling in the takeaway. Let's see how we get on when we take it to more of a full swing. Bit thin maybe, and a bit out to the right. Okay, this is that little bridge, isn't it, between the slow swings and the full swings. So a bit of work to do. Not quite. That felt better. Bit pushy. I felt good in the takeaway though, which is the key. That's what we're working on. So let's focus on that. There's me saying, let's not worry about the outcome of the shot. And then obviously I'm staring at everyone. Hello. Is that our first straight one of the day? I am happy with that. I mean, nope, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to stay positive. So that's it, that's my practice. So I'm going to crack on. I'm going to try and do some performance stuff now, maybe head to targets, purposely aim them up to the right, because we know that's where my misses have been today. But really that's kind of my key. That's my focus for today, was really working on my takeaway. And it feels good to have just grooved that move a little bit more. And what I'm going to be working on next, which is the second part of my swing, like I mentioned, that I'm determined to crack, is that drop from the top. So I'll be doing another practice session at another point, working just dedicated to that drop from the top. And in the meantime, I would love to hear what you're working on in your swing and how you work on it as well. Do you do a similar practice session to this? Let me know in the comments below and I'll see you there.